Hello and welcome to Wellness in Conversation. I have a very special guest on this evening, Dr. Paul Arciero, and today's episode is a fascinating one because we're talking about a very famous macronutrient that so many people think they understand, but few are actually getting the results they want from it. That is protein, of course, and as soon as I say the word, I can envisage people wanting to switch off because they think they know it all. But unless your name is Dr. Paul Arciero, you probably don't know it all. Yes, this famous professor is my guest today. He's a best-selling author on this topic, and this man has also trademarked the phrase protein pacing. He coined the phrase based on scientific research, and it's all about eating the right protein at the right time. He's also published over 60 peer-reviewed research studies around protein and nutrition. Dr. Paul, thank you for joining us from New York today. It's great to have you here.
Mary, thank you for having me. This is a great topic. And like you said, I think sometimes people think they know all they need to know about protein, but there's a lot uncovered.
So you basically invented protein pacing and trademarked it. Why was that, Dr. Paul?
Mostly out of necessity, because as you're describing, there's so much misinformation that's available right now to us at our fingertips regarding nutrition. And so I have been a nutrition physiology human clinical trial researcher for 42 years. And over those 42 years, I discovered a couple of very, very specific lifestyle tenets that kept rising to the top. And one of them was protein. Every time I was able to nourish a human with the highest quality protein at specific time intervals over the course of the day, that always resulted in the most benefit across the board in terms of their health. And so I just felt the need that let's clarify for the general population this concept of the benefit of protein, and a catchy word that resonated based on my science was protein pacing. Hence, that's why I trademarked it and wrote an Amazon bestseller.
Got to read that, The Price of Life. So why does the timing of protein consumption matter so much?
This very simple, direct answer to that, Mary, is because our bodies have a most favorable time range in which they can digest, absorb, transport, and then store nutrients. And it's about 4 hours. So in my early research, what I did was I actually measured people's metabolism following the ingestion of various macronutrients. And what became very clear is that when people were provided the highest quality protein with the greatest proportion of essential amino acids, that is what determines the quality of a protein. It has more of the essential amino acids, leucine being one. It took about 4 hours to optimize the body's metabolic response, the digestion, absorption, transport, and then the storage and utilization of those amino acids. So that right away resonated, obviously, at a very scientific level. But then when it translated into these magnificent health benefits, I knew that the timing was perfect for me to really publicize this protein pacing. If you can nourish your body with the highest quality protein every 4 hours, that's going to result in the greatest health impact.
And what sort of health benefits can we see from doing that, Dr. Paul?
Yeah, so the benefits are both inside and outside. So from an inside perspective, it's our metabolic health. It's things like providing a little bit greater satiation. We feel a little bit less hungry when we are nourishing our body with a higher quality protein. Our metabolic rate stays at a healthy level. It doesn't begin to drop, which happens when we age. We have wonderful changes with our cardiovascular system. Our cardiovascular system improves. The blood vessel linings react more healthy. The blood pressure, the blood lipids, the blood sugar. So a lot of internal things. But one of the most profound things that we found with the protein pacing was that people's level of inflammation seemed to quiet down. People's defense system, we call it the antioxidant defense system in the body, got a little more revved up and ready to defend against toxins and harmful substances. And then the gut microbiome. What we found was when people protein paste, the diversity of their gut microbiome increased drastically, 25 to 40%. And that alone was monumental. And so those were the inside changes. But then on the outside, people started to drop less, more body fat. They were retaining more lean muscle mass. And most importantly was the visceral fat, the fat that's wrapped around our vital organs that we don't want there, that plummeted by 33%. So those are some of the major health benefits.
Wow, powerful stuff. So, big question. Isagenix's new clear protein, it can effectively turn water into a 20-gram protein water drink. What's your view on innovations like this to help people get it into their daily intake?
Yeah, that's divine level there that you just described. So, yeah, turning water into ideal protein, and that's exactly what it does. The clear protein is revolutionary, and here's why. Isagenix uses a grass-fed, undenatured whey protein isolate. That's the highest form of the highest quality protein you can consume, Mary. So I think, if we were to kind of prioritize or rank order is a better word, rank order the levels of high quality protein based on the amino acid, essential amino acid content, the clear protein from Isagenix would rank number one. But not only that, it has these unbelievable pure electrolytes that are also found within it. So, I mean, the combination, you can't get it at any better level. So how does it incorporate into your daily routine? Probably the easiest of any. I mean, it's so light, it's so refreshing, it's so high quality and bioavailable that you can literally use it as a way to meet your protein needs over the course of the day at any time. So I call it the most ubiquitous protein available, meaning we can drink it and nourish our body with the highest quality protein, the greatest sources of electrolytes, literally at any time of the day. But if I had to pick some times that it's probably most ideal, mid-morning, mid-afternoon, when you're feeling a little bit of a slump, definitely before, during, and after an exercise session. So if you're going to go out for an afternoon walk, you're going to play a little pickleball, you're going to hike the base camp in Everest. No, I'm just kidding. Doing a number of different things, that clear protein is ideally suited.
And I hear a lot of people saying that they want to get their protein from real foods, as they say. How does that stand up with clear protein and the isolene shake, which also has that high quality protein? How does the real food stand up against the shake and other alternatives as a meal replacement?
Well, I have to chuckle when I hear that because most people think that, oh, it comes in a bag, it comes in a container, and they say that's not natural whole food. And I kind of chuckle because here's why. It's actually more whole food than a whole food source of protein that you might be eating. Let's say, for example, it was a caged chicken laying an egg or a grain-fed dairy cow. There's some really poor quality sources of what people call whole food protein that are not healthy for you, and they're undergoing a lot of processing. In terms of the feeding of what we're feeding the animal. So again, there's that old saying, we are what we eat eats. And so if what you eat is eating a lot of highly processed food, you're not eating a whole food. You're eating a very processed source. So when it comes to the clear protein and the isolene, you can't get any more natural out in nature than a grass-fed source of something. But not only that, Mary, it's undenatured, meaning it hasn't undergone any of the high heat or turbulent processing that normally takes place when we extract out a whey protein or a casein protein. So the point is that it's one of the most unprocessed sources of food that you can consume, the clear protein and the isolene shakes. And
I
that's
can't wait to give people that answer now.
yeah, and the one other comment I wanted to make on it, because it's a really important one, is that because it's so naturally occurring, it's easily digested and the body recognizes it more than anything. So we call it nutritionally engineered, meaning it's from its most natural, health promoting standpoint you can consume a food, and it's engineered that way to suit the body at its highest level. It's not processed, so it's not classified as a highly processed food at all.
So this is as real food can get.
Precisely.
So I've noticed just going to the supermarkets, the shelves are stocked to the hilt with protein yogurts, protein snacks, protein chocolate bars. What should we be looking for when it comes to making sure we're not eating protein rubbish and that we're actually getting that high quality stuff? Are there any tricks we can look out for?
That's a great question. We definitely have to be more of a sleuth when we go to the grocery store or when we're purchasing some of these things online, as so many people do now. I think first and foremost, you want to stay with a reputable company that's been doing it for more than a decade or two. And Isagenix has been at it for 24 and a half years. So it has a reputation of highest quality standard. That would be number one. Isagenix kind of stands above 25 years, having done the same thing over and over. More importantly, having a grass-fed, undenatured. When you denature it, you're processing it in some way: heat, acid, turbulation, agitation. So Isagenix doesn't use those techniques. As I said, it keeps the protein in its most natural state as possible, so it's most unprocessed as you can consume. That's number two. Number three would be the commitment to having third-party analysis of the quality of the ingredients and what's contained and what's not contained in the product. Isagenix adheres to all three of those things. And I could add a fourth one: proven, scientifically proven efficacy of the product actually impacting in a favorable way somebody's health. Is it of benefit? That's how I would say that you'd want to choose your nourishment. And Mary, again, Isagenix does it in spades in terms of meeting all of those criteria at the highest level of standard. So that's how you want to make sure that you're choosing the protein. Again, a plethora, an abundance of choices, but there are some really specific criteria that people should use in their choice of what they nourish their body with.
That is super helpful. Now I'm going to test your maths now. Is there a simple calculation that we can use to ensure we're getting the right amount of daily protein?
There is. Yeah, I do describe that here. I have a protein calculator as well that I provide free
Mm.
for people because I'm so committed to this and dedicated. I want to help as many people as you do. And Isagenix wants to help as we can. But very generally speaking, it is a range of about, and I know you use kilograms over in UK and in Europe. So on a kilogram basis, it would be about 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight. Sometimes you could go up to 1.8. As we age, we know that we have a harder time. So when I say age, when we're over 40, so if you're somebody who's listening to this and you're over the age of 40, you want to make sure that you bump it up to a minimum of that 1.6, closer to 1.8. And in some cases, depending upon your lean body mass, your activity level, you could actually even almost go to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. So it really ranges somewhere. But that sweet spot, I'd say the optimal level is that 1.6 to 1.8. In pounds, it's about zero point 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight.
So everybody listening, either do your own maths or get Dr. Paul's book or use his calculator so he can make it easy for you.
Another easy way to do it, Mary, I would throw out is a 25-gram minimum 4 times a day. And that's really on the low end for most people because that would only provide you 100 grams. And that's really on a low level of somebody who weighs, 120 pounds or less. Generally speaking, you want to be somewhere between that 30 grams and 50 grams of protein per protein pacing meal.
These are all so helpful for the general person to try and work out how much protein do I actually need because there's so much debate around it. And can I ask you, why is protein pacing so effective for fat loss specifically?
Yeah, so that's really the most important question. We know that when people are on a lower calorie diet, we call it energy deficit. So when they're consuming less calories than what they're expending because they're on a weight loss journey, which really is a fat loss journey, is what we should be targeting for our weight loss only. Protein is the necessary nutrient to help maintain your lean body mass. Fat and carbohydrates are not going to do that for you. So when people are instructed, oh, it's all about just reducing your calorie intake, nothing is further from the truth. There's no scientific support of that at all. In fact, all of the major governing bodies of healthy body composition during an energy deficit, all the experts, scientific experts over numerous decades now have concluded time and time again that when you do begin to fuel your body with less calories in an attempt to lose body weight, and it should be only body fat, particularly visceral fat, your protein has to increase during that energy deficit because you need to protect your lean body mass and your vital organs, your brain, your heart, your kidneys, your liver, your pancreas, all those really important organs. um, you need to continue to nourish those. And so as you reduce calories, your protein actually has to come up. So it's not so simple as just saying, oh, it's all about an energy deficit. And we still continue to hear that by health professionals. And again, nothing is further from the truth. As you go into an energy deficit, your protein has to increase.
Now, I'm going to bring out another topical subject here because you've just brought it to the forefront. And when we're talking about weight loss, the weight loss injections. So they've brought the importance of protein, right to the forefront of everything because people using GLP-1 are eating less overall. And is it at this point that kind of protein per calorie becomes even more important?
It absolutely does. And that's the greatest unhealthy side effect of the medicated weight loss arena right now, and especially when it comes to the GLP-1s and some of the other peptides that are being coupled with the GLP-1s, for example, the GIP, gastric inhibitory polypeptide. When we start to now piggyback and couple these peptides together, they're even super additive in what they're doing in terms of reducing food intake and drive to want to eat. And so people's hunger plummets. They don't have that hunger that is necessary for them to properly nourish their body. So as a result of that, they start eating less. And one of the nutrients that they neglect the most, unfortunately, because it's also satiating, is protein. So it actually becomes priority number one. If you are on medicated weight loss with a GLP-1 and possibly a GIP, you have to absolutely prioritize. It's non-negotiable. It's not a recommendation. It's actually a necessity that you start your eating with the highest quality protein you can so that you can help preserve any loss, continued loss of your lean body mass. Because we know that when people go on a GLP-1, Mary, they lose up to 25 to 40% of their lean body mass. That is so detrimental for long-term health. So the absolute necessity should be, if you're on one of these, you're going off one of these, you're considering going on one of these, start to prioritize the highest quality protein. Again, it's not about high protein. It's about the highest quality protein at the right times so that you can preserve your lean body mass and not have it diminish, because that's a major health consequence. So it becomes a priority. So protein pacing is a necessity for people on these.
Crucial advice for anybody listening, of course, that is on on that weight loss journey. And a personal question for you now, Paul, just to finish on. For years, people have felt pressure to be slim or skinny through media, celebrities, and social expectations. But is health really about the number on the scales, or is it more important to be strong and metabolically healthy?
I'm so glad you asked that. People often ask me, what's the level of importance of weight loss in your research? We don't do weight loss research. I'm, in all of my research studies, we've never led with weight loss as the primary outcome. We have a preoccupation, fixation, obsession with wanting to get people to weigh this ideal weight. And that's a detriment to the health of society. As you described, it's about metabolic health, it's about heart health, it's about brain health, it's about keeping our level of inflammation down at a healthy level, and exposure to toxins. It's about our musculoskeletal health. So it's really not. I know body weight comes into play because on a population level, we use BMI, that's body mass index, which uses weight and height ratio. But really, Mary, the most important component is the composition of your body weight. And so it really doesn't matter what you weigh if you have a healthy body composition on a very individual basis. So what we focus on entirely are health improvements with body recomposition. So if somebody has excess body fat, we try to reduce the excess body fat and at least maintain, and if in ideal cases, increase their lean body mass. That's a primary outcome. And then, of course, metabolic, cardiovascular, inflammatory health, and musculoskeletal. Those are the priorities. And if a side effect is weight loss, which it always happens to be because they're losing lots of body fat when they follow the protein pacing and the nutritional fasting, the cleansing that we provide with Isogenics, it always happens, the weight loss, but it's a wonderful side effect, not a primary outcome. And so, yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly that we need to change that paradigm of thought, that it's really about overall health and not just weight loss, because we know that you can lose a lot of weight on a diet. But diets don't work because of that. You're losing a lot of weight, of which primarily it's a little bit of fat, lots of water, and lots of lean muscle mass. So diets don't work, and that's not what we want to advocate.
Dr. Paul, this has been so insightful. And what I love most is how practical and doable you make many of the things that, we've just talked about. So if you are listening and thinking, I need to try this, as Dr. Paul says, start simple, focus on getting your protein in, spaced out across the day, and then make it easy for yourself with clear protein water or an isoline shake. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Paul. It's been an absolute pleasure. And for everyone listening, if you found this helpful, please do share it with someone you care about. And good evening, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Paul.
Thanks for having me.